This is a really, really, really interesting concept you've got to learn. Who's the hero of your story? Is it you, or is it your product? People make themselves the hero and make the product the sidekick. You've got to make the product the hero and make yourself the sidekick. You are simply a facilitator that made the product happen.
This is The Fighting Entrepreneur, the podcast dedicated to entrepreneurs looking to change the world. Learn how to start, build, and scale a business in today's highly competitive business environment. Here's your host, The Fighting Entrepreneur, Anik Singal.
So, Fred asked me to talk about copywriting, and then he said, you have about 30 minutes to talk. And I thought, that's 13 years of experience and testing and learning to put in 30 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a few key concepts. I can't get into all of it at one time, but I wrote down some notes. So, okay, the power of copywriting, right? Why copy is important. Now, I'll give you guys a story about it. And how many of you happened to have seen my copywriting workshop last weekend? Okay, good. So some of the things I share will be new. The rest of you are not paying attention to me, so... Okay, so I'll tell you what happened. 15 years ago, I was part of an English class in high school. Now, in high school, I was one of those study my butt off and overachieve type of children, you know? And I would work really hard, and I got accustomed to always getting A's. Now, I worked hard for those, but that was just what I got used to. So then I get enrolled into this advanced placement writing class. And I thought, I always get A's, so I'll be fine. First assignment I submit, D-. First D- I ever got in my life. My world fell around me. You know, parent-teacher conferences began because my dad was super involved in everything that happened in school. Assistant vice principals got involved. And it was nuts. And the teacher basically held her ground. She said, no, he's not written well. It's just not good writing, and so I'm going to stick to my grade. So I worked really hard. Drove the teacher crazy, got tutoring, was in there during lunchtime, and the best I could ever get from her was a B-. And my closing grade at the end of that semester was a B-. First B I ever got. And I was upset. And I went to her, and I basically accused her for taking out anger on me. I said, just because I was so hard on you, just because I really made you work for it, you would refuse to give me an A. And she was really upset. And today I look back, I think she had every right to be. And she looked at me and said, I only give the grade that you deserve. And then she said something that I think a teacher should never say to someone, at least not to me. And she said, you'll never be a writer. Please don't ever write for a career. And I really took that and I thought, oh, wow, okay. So I said, whatever, I don't want to write anyways, so I don't care. So then I go off and I go to college, and a lot of stuff happens in between. I try to go study to become a doctor. I switch from that. I go into business school. I start my own business online. So what I did is I published this product called Better GPA. All right, it was about how to study in college. It was the greatest disaster I ever created in my life. It was an amazing product. I couldn't sell 3 of them over the course of months. But why I say that product was the greatest blessing I ever had was because it forced me to learn. Because in the process of getting that product up and running, I didn't have any money. I was a college kid. And I had to figure out, back then, there was a program called Microsoft Front Page. Rest in peace. I miss that software. It was a horrible software. It created the worst HTML code, but it got a page up. I had to build my page using that. I had to learn how to integrate with ClickBank. I had to learn how to create a PDF. And the one thing I was forced to do was to write the sales message, right? I had to do copy. So what did I do back then? I went and looked at what other people were doing. I dissected what they were doing, and then I did what I thought was my best. So now it comes time to recruit affiliates, and I end up finding this guy who has a product that targets parents of students. So I get introduced to him from a random contact, and I message him, and I said, hey, I would love for you to promote for me. Could you check out my page, my product? He comes back and he says, I cannot promote for you, will not promote for you. However, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? All right, here's me, I'm in college, I do this, I do that. Comes back to me and says, you need to learn how to write copy. And I thought, absolutely not, I do not. I want nothing to do with it. And he got on the phone with me, and he made me an offer I couldn't refuse, which would involve me flying down, spending a weekend with a bunch of marketers, learning how to do this skill. And then he said, I'll teach you. You can become my intern. And again, now I'm thinking, I don't really know. This is taking me away. I never wanted a job. I wanted to be in business. He said something to me which I still remember till this day. Best advice I ever got. Right? One of the best advice I ever got in business. And what he said to me was this. He said, every successful business person needs to know the art of selling through the written word. And back then, it made no sense. I thought, why? Who cares? Today, I get it. All right, I have sold over $100 million worth of products on the internet, and I would tell you that I would have been able to do only 10% of that if I wasn't good at sales messaging. Right? In the end of the day, guys, you can have an amazing product. Okay? You've got the best diffuser, you've got the best, nutritionals, you've got the best everything. But what's the point if no one buys it? Right? So we grow up in society kind of beginning to believe that selling is bad. Selling is not a good thing. To sell someone we have this guilt about selling. But I look at it very differently. I think if I believe in my product, if I believe in what I'm doing, if I believe that my product can naturally, genuinely help somebody, why would I not sell it to them? So I heard an example once on stage. Someone said, if you had the cure to cancer, it's in your hands, you know for a fact it can save lives, it'll cure people, would you not bang down every door? If your friend had cancer and you know, fact, definitive, this will cure their cancer. They just have to touch this stone and it'll cure. Would you not risk upsetting them? Would you not risk banging down their door? You would, because you believe so much in what you have. And eventually the results would be there, right? They would get the result that they asked for or that they needed. So I took a very different approach to selling. And I began to learn under him. Now, long story short, turns out this person, I didn't know at that time, this person's name is Justin Ford. He is the brother of Michael Masterson. He's his little brother. Now, for those of you who don't know Michael Masterson, he is the #1 copywriter to have ever lived. He's sold over $1 billion worth of products through his copy. Now, he's traditional style, so he used to do all the direct sales letters. He's retired now, but I did know his name in those days, and you couldn't learn copywriting without coming past his name. And here I was with an opportunity to learn from his brother. That meant I had access to him, right? And so that was quite a big moment. So I didn't pass it up. Fortunately, I didn't pass it up. I took him up on it. And till this day, I would tell you grammatically, my English is probably still, my written word is still not the best. But it doesn't seem to make a big difference, does it? Right? You can hire editors. You can have people review. But what I'm very good at is articulating the reason why somebody should buy my product. Now, I want you to think about what I just said. I'm not good at articulating how great my product is. I'm great at articulating why someone should buy my product. And if you learn to differentiate between those two, it's going to make a major difference in your life. So when I go into a situation with copywriting, when I'm looking at someone or I'm looking at putting together a promotion, the first thing I'm going to do, I rarely, so let me back up a little bit. Traditionally, if you go to a copywriter, hire them, they're going to send you back a 10-page questionnaire. It's going to ask you about everything from the day you were born, your product, your modules, how many videos, how many this. And here's the truth. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. I have never till this day. I helped Fred create the copy for iPro Academy without ever having actually seen the product, without having actually logged in and seen how many hours of video there is, how many modules there are, how many coaching sessions there are, what the details are. It just doesn't matter because that's not why you buy a product. So you're all sitting here. You made a good investment to be here. And are you here because you get 8 hours a day of live grueling training, absolute overwhelmed mind, a dump of information? Are you here for that? As a matter of fact, if that's how we started our presentation, would you still be here? No, you're here because you get to walk away with a business where you can get unlimited amount of traffic and change your life. and step into the zone, step into the arena that you want to be in. That's what you were sold. So did it matter to you how many particular, before you came here, did you know how many specific sessions there would be today or yesterday? Did it make a difference? Did it matter? Have we not made changes to the schedule while you've been here? Flowed with the process, and did it make a difference? No, because you are still here for the end goal. You're here for the final vision. So when you talk about your product, and that's very important. Now we call that the hook, okay? It's a very, very important part of copywriting. So the first thing I'll ever do is develop a hook. And in a hook, why you? Why your product? Okay? There are many other options, always. If the market is a good market, there's going to be other competitors. There has to be. That's one of the qualifying factors of a good market, is that there are other competitors. So why you? What makes your product different? Right? But not what makes your product different from a structural perspective, or from a creation perspective, or from an ingredients perspective. No. What makes your product different from a results perspective? How do the results differ from what you're selling versus what your competition is selling? That's where the hook lives. And the hook is 90% of the battle. You nail the hook down, you will nail a mission statement down, a value statement down. You will begin to build your tribe. You will begin to attract people that are more like-minded like you. Your sales messaging, your pitching, your sales, your processes, your just overall customer satisfaction will go through the roof. I'll give you a prime example here. Up until this year, my company was everything related to internet marketing, or I'd even go as far as saying everything related to making money online. Okay? Great. We sold and endorsed amazing products. Proud of them. But we just didn't. I went through a 3 or 4 month phase this year. This is the truth. Where I had a lull. And I couldn't really get myself as excited every morning about my business as I used to be. And I really sat down and had a moment and I thought about it. I said, why is this happening? And what I realized was I was lacking that vision of where I was going. What was I building towards? A true entrepreneur always needs to be able to they need to know what the top of the mountain is, right? And if they just can't see it, yeah, I know it's in the journey. I get that. I absolutely agree. The battle is in the journey. The journey is the journey. But if you don't have at least a visualization of the end goal, the journey it's like you're walking on a treadmill. So one of the things we did is I realized, what am I good at? What am I? What's my hook? Where do I bring a level of expertise where I can stand in front of a group of people and say, I am better at this than everybody else? And that is digital publishing. I believe in information products. I have sold over 100 million of them. So now you go to Lurn.com, point blank and simple. We state it right off the bat. That's what we do. You know what that instantly does in the market? It makes you the expert on that topic. It does half the sales pitch for you is done right there. Something you control. So that is part of our hook. Part of our hook is we show you how to build a business using nothing but information products. Now, if I start to endorse all kinds of products that are outside of that vision, outside of that mission, I'm going to lose my tribe. I'm going to lose the effect I have on people. Now, why do I talk about the importance of tribe? It's something I've learned this year, and we'll talk a little bit about it right now. Copywriting or selling, let's get down to the basic of what it is. Selling is so much easier when you have a tribe. I'll give you a prime example. Tomorrow morning you wake up, your best friend calls you and says, oh my God, I just bought the best face lotion. You won't believe what it's done to my face. I swear, you've got to get this. This thing is a miracle. Take that. Now you go here and you're on Google and you see an advertisement that says, this is the best face lotion ever. You got to get this. Which one do you act on first? Your friend. Because of that trust, the relationship. So for those who tell me, Anik, I'm not good at selling. I'm not a good salesperson. I just don't, I'm not a salesy person. Now, I love selling. You can see that. And I get excited. It's fun for me. But it's not fun for everybody. And for those people, what I say is, great. Focus your energy first on building a tribe because you'll do 60% of the selling right there. You know, today, if you watch my emails, if you watch my blog, my whole approach to selling someone is so different. It's fully transparent. We ran a webinar just a few days ago with our Publish Academy students where I told everybody before they get on, said, get on this webinar, we're going to talk about outsourcing, and at the end, someone's going to present you with an offer. I think you should take it, but even if you don't want to take it, it's okay. But you should be there. Highest converting webinar I've done this whole year. Full-on transparency. But you can't do that as effectively unless you have that tribe going, right? So if you're in a position right now where you think, copy scares me, it's just not something I'm comfortable with, great. Are you comfortable providing value? Are you comfortable being you? Are you comfortable teaching people, helping people, being there to, take your mission, your vision, your hook, and really build that out? Do that, and your copy can stink. It can actually stink, and it'll do great. But we're talking about media buying, so here's the next piece of it. When you're buying cold traffic, that's what we call it, traffic that it's not part of your tribe yet. They don't know who you are. So in that scenario, you have to do either of two things. One is you either create very strong copy, okay, it's capable of taking someone who has no relationship with you and converting them into a believing, trusting customer, or you take a longer-term funnel approach, which means you get them into your funnel, you get their email address, and you begin to build that relationship over the next 10, 12, 15 days by showing them who you are, by showing them your mission, showing your vision, showing your customer testimonial, showing the things you've done in the world. And then again, by day 16, they're now officially part of your tribe. Your marketing becomes a lot easier. Those are the two approaches you can take. There is really no right or wrong. Either way, you still have to learn copy to a degree, right? So this is kind of the new age. Jimmy and I joke about this. We always say hashtag 2016 is all about transparency because it's working, but you can't sell based on transparency until you have a tribe, until you have people that just, you know what, they will buy because you say you should buy. Pure and simple as that, right? I'll give you an example, Apple. I am part of the Apple tribe. I am their best customer. I buy products before I know what the product is or what it does. As a matter of fact, their latest iPad Pro came out. It's a big iPad. Bought the best one, most expensive. It's in my backpack. I cannot figure out what to do with it. I don't have a use for it. But I bought it because Tim Cook got on a stage and said, this is one of our best products ever. You should buy this. I'm like, okay, I'm in. Right? So that's a tribe. And that doesn't require any selling then. So that's to give you hope. If you're sitting there thinking, man, I'm not a salesperson. Great. You don't have to be. You can totally sell through valuable content. Now let's talk about, so we talked a little bit about a hook, right? And why use. So I'm gonna pick on some examples. We have the diffuser, right? That is a brilliant product. I'm listening to what it can do, and you're very passionate about your diffuser. It comes out, we can tell. But when you start talking about your diffuser, you also start talking about nanotechnology, and you start talking about, I don't remember, things that I don't understand, right? And the fact that I can't remember them is not a good thing. Because I just remember you saying nanotechnology, and it's a word I've heard in science before, and I thought, whoa. But then I immediately thought, I don't know, is this thing for me? Sounds complicated, right? Whereas when you talk about it, the part where you gave your story got me captivated. We're going to talk about storytelling in a minute. As a matter of fact, how did I start this presentation? And all of you right here, deadlocked, looking at me. People in the back, staring, watching. It started with a story. So story is very important, but also with your product particularly, what's the benefit? The only reason I knew that the diffuser helps with something health-related was because of your story. But beyond that, when you spoke about the diffuser, it was all about the technology. It was all about the creation process. And to the end user, it doesn't mean much. What they want to know is, I put that thing, it comes to my house, I plug it in, what happens afterwards? It's like, well, you begin to get energetic, you begin to feel this, you begin to feel that. And, oh, great, well, there's all so many on Amazon already, why you? Well, ours, because, and I remember this point, so you can purely test based on what people remember from what you said. You spoke about how you can't mix moisture and heat with the oils. Perfect. That's why I should buy your product, because you've statistically and scientifically proven that every other diffuser is killing the benefits of that essential oil, yet your system is cutting edge and it's created using a technology that doesn't ruin the underlying benefit. That's it, I'm done, sold. So you've got new technology, it works better than the rest, it gets me healthy, it solves my problem. I will spend twice as much on your product than the competitor without ever asking a question. As a matter of fact, if you priced it with the competitor, I might buy less. I might not believe you. I want the premium pricing because it makes me feel like I'm buying something that's premium, right? So again, more examples of what is the end result. What do you get at the end of the process? If you look at any of my sales pitches now, you'll never ever hear me mention how many hours of video or how many written content. It just doesn't exist because it's just not necessary. If anything, it takes the sale away. People think, I don't have time for all that. I can't go through all of that, okay? So let's talk about the power of story. One of the greatest things a copywriter needs to be able to do in order to get a sale is they need to be able to be remembered. And your product needs to be remembered because many are not going to buy on the first hit. It's just how it is. But you start the thinking process. The old rule in marketing, right? I think it's like someone has to see something 8 times before they purchase or before they think actively, really seriously about buying it. So you have to figure out what part of your presentation, your pitch, is the part you want to be remembered. You know, what is it that you want your consumer to walk away with remembering? And that is where your story gets involved. So for me, my presentation, the most important outcome of my presentation right now to you was that you need to walk away believing that copywriting is very important and that you can do copywriting. Now go back to my first story. I got a D- in writing. I'm the worst person in the world to write, yet I'm a copywriter. The number one advice I ever got from someone was learn to sell through the written word. I went on to sell $100 million worth of products. One story gave you 3 pieces of key takeaways, and those are the only 3 you needed. So for me, I've become such a copywriter now that I'm always copywriting. As a matter of fact, there's a joke between my friends and I'll do this all the time to them, and I don't even realize I do this. I'll text them, and I'll say, I've got something huge I got to tell you. It's really, really important, but I got to go right now. I'll be back in a few hours. Right? And I do this all the time. I don't mean to do it. And they'll come back, and at least my marketer friends will say, would you please stop pre-selling me? You know? But it's just a part of nature. That's just how I create engagement on a daily basis with my family, with my friends, with everybody. Because in all our communications, you as a person will be remembered a lot more if you're exciting, if you're fun, if you're engaging, if you create a wave of emotions in the people you speak to. And you're able to do only that. You can do that with only a story. A story can take someone through highs and lows like none other, okay? So we talk about being able to get remembered, right? There's something I discovered about that's really helped my copy. And that is humans have certain levels of emotions. We've got fear, we've got, happiness, we've got sadness, we've got anger. So, we've got some of these key, really, really strong emotions. The best way to get somebody's attention, the best way to get someone to remember you and pay attention to you is walk them through all those emotions in one moment or in one span of time. So when you watch my copy, when you read my copy, when you attend my webinars, I'm going to walk you through all those emotions. I might even make you angry at sometimes. I'll do it on purpose because I'm triggering emotions inside of you. And those emotions, the more emotions I hit on you, the more memorable I am to you. Now, what's important is what emotion I end at. Right? So as I get ready to transition into my sales pitch, I have to control that narration. So I have to make sure we've recovered from any of the negative emotions. Right? And I may not do a lot of that. right? Obviously, I'm not going to let you spend 5 minutes in the angry zone during a presentation. I might let you spend 10 seconds, 5 seconds, but I'm still going to carry you through those emotions. To do that without a story is very difficult. To do it through a story, it's very easy. So I'll give you an example. You don't have to be angry at me, but I said to you, my teacher said to me, don't ever write, you'll never be a writer. Didn't that encourage, like, how could she do that? What's wrong with that teacher? You had a moment of anger. Doesn't have to be directed at me. I just have to inspire anger, right? I have to inspire, happiness because I did it. I prevailed. I was victorious. So you get a chance to participate in that emotion with me. So a story can do all of that. And now the next question or the next objection I get, I don't have a story. And I love this objection because I promise you, and I've actually done this at some of my live events where I pull up people and I tell them to talk about their life, convert it into a story on the spot. We all have stories. You have a story. You have 15 stories from this weekend. It's just about how you pick them up and deliver them, right? That is quite the art. All right, so we talked about story, we talked about hook, we talked about transparency, we talked about the importance of never ever selling the steak, but selling the sizzle. Every copywriter uses this example. If you've not heard it yet, you'll hear it many times. A steak comes out. What makes your mouth water as it's coming to you? You're not thinking, oh, that bad boy is 10 ounces, it's a prime rib cut. No, you're like, wow. I hear that sizzle. I see the butter on there. I can smell it, right? That's what makes me hungry. So that's what you sell. Because again, I told you, people want to know what the end result is. The end result is your taste buds are about to have a party, right? So that's what you give them that vision of what's going to happen to their taste buds. So we've talked about some of these core concepts that really underlie what copywriting is. And believe it or not, it is not that much more complicated than that. Now, behind that is a bit of a formulaic process, okay? So whether you're doing a written sales letter, you're doing a video sales letter, or you're doing a webinar, there are 5 steps that you will go through in your copy. Step 1, introduction. All right? And we're going to talk about each of these a little bit separately. Fred, I could literally go on for the whole day, so you just start waving at me when you need me to wrap up, okay? Okay, all right. So step 1 is introduction. Step 2 is story. Step 3 is content. Step 4 is transition. And step 5 is pitch. So let's look at my presentation on stage today. I am not selling you anything, but I want you guys to understand how formulaic it's become part of my life. The introduction was Fred introducing me. He built my credibility up. He edified me. He got you excited to hear from me. Introduction, boom, you're sold. None of you are going to get up and walk out during this presentation, I hope. Number 2, story. I came up, I started with a story. Got you engaged, deliver my main points, made you understand why you need to listen to the rest of the presentation. Number 3, content. I transitioned right into content. Now, what would happen is I would continue to deliver content for another 15 minutes, but if I were to be doing a presentation where I had something to sell to you, I would start to transition. Transition is very key. And as a matter of fact, someone's asked me before, which of these 5 steps is where you really sell someone? Which is the most important in selling, they say. It's really hard. Part of me says, you know what, the sales happen at the content. They do not happen during the pitch. That is a major, major, major misconception. However, then I listen to some people's presentations and I say, the sale happens in the transition. And then I listen to some other people's pitches and I say, the sale happens in the pitch. Here's what's going to happen. If your sale happens during the content, you've got a tribe member. You've got someone who won't refund, who's going to love you to death, who's going to buy more stuff from you. Great customer. If the sale happens during the transition, you've got a good customer, a little bit of doubt, recoverable. Great customer. They can easily be made into a tribe member based on how you deliver your content. If the sale happens in the pitch, you have a fight ahead of yourself. Because you got somebody it's the example I like to use is they were trying to run away from you, and you grab them by the collar, and you're just like, come here. And finally, they just accept. And they say, fine. You know, that's not a great customer. A customer that comes into your business saying, okay, you overvalued the heck out of this offer, I'm in. Now, having said that, do I say you shouldn't overvalue an offer? I'm not saying that. What I'm saying that is your pitch, we still follow a very particular process in the pitch, but your pitch should reaffirm the decision to purchase that's already been made. It should reaffirm that they cannot possibly not have this. It should reaffirm that the decision they made already in their mind to buy is actually the right decision, so that they don't suffer from buyer's remorse within 5 minutes after having bought. I'm going to give you guys a great example. This gentleman up here told me that Profit Academy was the first product he ever bought. And he really stretched himself to make it happen. Never bought a product before, stretched himself, made it happen. Within 30 seconds, he bought, within 30 seconds, called his bank. I think I screwed up. I'm having a panic attack. I just got taken. Somebody took my money. Help me. In the meantime, as he's on the phone, an email comes from me. It says, here's your login information. Thank you. Welcome to our community. And he says, oh, this guy's real. Okay, sorry, wrong number. Bye. Hangs up the phone. So ideally, I messed up my presentation somewhere for him. Somewhere in that process, I messed up. Now, thanks to the way I deliver my content, thanks to the amazing team and the support and everything we do, we recovered him. He immediately became, a part of the tribe. But that feeling he had right after purchasing is the opposite of the feeling I want my customer to have after they purchase. And the only way you get that feeling is if you sell them during the content. All right, so let's break it down and let's talk from start to finish. Introduction. Amazingly important part. And it works very different. You're doing a written sales letter, your introduction is your headline. Pure and simple. You're doing a VSL, your introduction is your first 10 seconds. You got 10, 15 seconds max. Why? Because you just disrupted somebody's day to deliver them a message, and they are on the clock. Make it happen. Why should I pay attention right now? Talk to me. All right? You don't got much time because that back button is so easy. So in traditional copywriting, I always say traditional copywriting from 15, 20 years ago where they wrote direct sales letters, I find it to be very different than what it is today. And the reason is, traditional sales letters, you got it in the mail, you opened it, you sat down, you put your reading glasses on, and you pulled it in front of you. You just committed. If they don't catch you in 10 seconds, it's okay. You went through a lot of effort to sit down and put your reading glasses on. You're going to give them another page or two. All right, online? No, back button. I'm out. Now, webinars. Why do I love webinars? Think about a webinar. Someone saw the message. They thought about it. Said, what am I doing on Monday at 3 p.m.? Check my calendar. Okay, register. Then they got an email again about it. Hey, it's coming up. They got an email again about it. Hey, it's coming up. Then on Monday at 2:50, they said to their wife or husband, hey, I'll be right back. I got to go. I'm on this webinar. Please keep everyone quiet. Tell the dogs to be quiet. Close the door. Don't bother me. They go into their office. They put their computer on. They log into the webinar. Are they going to leave just because the first 10 seconds of your webinar stinks? No. You have about 5 minutes on a webinar. It's a lot more room for margin for error, which is why I love webinars. So introduction is supposed to do pure and simple. What the heck am I going to get from you today? Today, in the next 60 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, what are you going to give me? Straight to the point. That's why headlines are what they are. All right, next, story. Big mistake I see people making. So this is a key thing. Take this away, okay? This is huge. Now, I've never seen this taught in any copywriting program I've ever been to, and I've been to massively expensive workshops. Biggest mistake people make with story is they talk about themselves. Hate to tell you, but ain't nobody care. That's what we think, right? You think, Anik, you spoke about yourself when you started this presentation. Did I? Who was the real star? What was the real star of my story? No. Copywriting. This is a really, really, really interesting concept you've got to learn. Who's the hero of your story? Is it you, or is it your product? People make themselves the hero and make the product the sidekick. You've got to make the product the hero and make yourself the sidekick. You are simply a facilitator that made the product happen. You said that was good?
I said that's easy.
Yeah, okay. All right, good. So, why do you do that? Because they're not buying you at the end of that. Okay? They're not buying you. So if you make them want you and then you give them the next best thing, that's not a great positioning to be in. You want to position the thing that they actually get to have at the end. So in your story, if you had, every good story has got the hero and the villain and your Robin, your sidekick. If there's Batman, Robin, and Joker, you're Robin. Always think of that. You're just there helping out the main guy win the battle. And you are so fortunate to have had that opportunity. You're the one who's lucky and blessed. You're not the person who is almighty hero, made it happen. Okay, now, there are a lot of marketers who sell that way. There really are, and they do fine. They do well. It's just not what I find to be the long-term huge thing. It's not the long-term way to be successful. A story is, again, like I told you, the key parts of a story, take them through the emotions. Key parts of a story are to deliver the value of the product. They tell you how they discovered the product, what the product has done for them, or the concept you're going to share has done for them. So obviously, by the way, in the story, you should never talk about your product directly. It's a little too transparent. It's a little weird. You should be talking about the theory behind the product, right? So in the case of the diffuser, it's not what the diffuser did for me. It's what this form of treatment, this essential oils and all these, what that did for me. So you ease them into wanting the diffuser because that ends up being the only thing between them and health is this physical object to diffuse the oil. So a story is really, really important. Now, how long should you spend on each of these? Guys, it just depends. If you're doing a written sales letter, VSL, or a webinar, they're very different numbers. All right? So in a VSL, I'm not going to spend more than 5 minutes max on a story. And that, again, takes into account that my VSL is 20 to 25 minutes. In a webinar, 10 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes. There used to be a day you could do 30 minutes on story. People loved it. Today, the audience is starting to really lose their attention span because webinars are happening all over the place. How many webinars could you, just look at your email, how many webinars are happening this week that you could be a part of? Exactly. Right? So when you get on a webinar, your attention spans are going less. You're like, dude, get to it because, man, there are 3 other ones I could bounce onto right now. So a story is incredibly important. Now, the next thing I'll tell you when you make your presentation and you go from one part to the next, I saw an interview with Tony Robbins once where he said, always be selling. I thought, what is he talking about? Tony said, always be selling. Tony is always selling. And if you think about a launch, you guys have all seen product launches. You wouldn't be in this room if you haven't. You've participated in many of them as a consumer. What's the theory behind a pre-launch? You come to an opt-in page. It sells you on getting into the free report. Go to the free report, it sells you into watching video 1. You watch video 1, it sells you into watching video 2 or webinar 2. You go through that, it sells you. You sell the person through your funnel, always. As soon as you buy the product, that main product starts to sell you the upsell. As soon as you buy the upsell, that upsell, even in the teaching and coaching and training of it, sells you the next thing, right? When you meet someone and you talk to them and they say, hi, I'm Melissa, and you say, hi, I'm John. What do you do, Melissa? I do blah, 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 blah. I'm a so-and-so. And so what are you doing? You're selling. You're selling yourself. You're convincing that person that they should continue to have a conversation with you because you're valuable, right? So always be selling. It's not bad to sell. You're just always in that zone. You're always in that mode because you keep an eye on what's next. You know what path you want to take this person down. So your story is essentially selling the content. Makes the transition super easy. So you go from story to content. Now you get into content, And I always say the best type of content is structured content. 5 steps to, 6 parts of a model, 7 things to do, 3 things to do, 3 major parts of this. It's just linear. We think linear. Most minds are very linear. Right? We like to start here and end here. We like the beginning and the end. So when you start to do training, if you're doing very open-ended training, those are great for just like your weekly Q&A calls, your weekly customer touch calls. Those are awesome because people just get to chat, they get to hear random thoughts from you. But when you want the end goal to be a sale, you need to make that, you need to make them feel like they went in a journey with you and they finished it. So there are 3 parts to this. They learn the 3 parts. All right, here's another little tip on how to create great content that sells. How to create content that sells. Never ever teach the how. The point of content in a sales pitch, not in your course, in the sales pitch, is to create an aha moment. Okay? So you're going through content. Let's look at the Publish Academy pitch, the content. There was a part where I talked about creating your own digital product, your own information product, right? My aha moment for that, everyone's heard that. Everyone's like, I know, information products, goody-do. But I say, what if I told you a way to get it done in 10 days or less where you don't have to do the product? And someone says, I'm sorry, what? How do I do that? Oh, well, let me tell you a story of our student here. He'll tell you a story about how he went off to create $1,500 while building a product, letting other people to build product for him. And now you just had, aha, wow, I can do that? That's neat. But as soon as I get that aha, I move on. I don't teach you how to do it. If you teach someone how to do it in your sales presentation, you are going to destroy your conversions. Because what happens is, it's a good thing. They love you. They'll leave loving you. But what happens a lot of times is people think, man, I got to go do those 3 things. Hey, tell you what, John, I love your presentation. Let me go do those 3 things. I'll come right back to you. And I'll be ready for your product then. We don't want that, right? So you never teach the how, you teach the what. You make sure they have an aha moment. And that aha moment leads them to believing, not really believing, but it leads them to know that they got value from your presentation. So you did good on your initial promise. You delivered. All right, so that is how you structure great content. Now, transition. Let's talk about transition because from content, you're going to go to transition. And what you need during transition is one thing. Your transition has one goal, and that goal is permission to sell your product. Not just permission, but what's the word I'm looking for? The request. It's almost the other way around. You want that consumer saying, please give me that product. I know you've got something. Let's face it, guys. We all know that there's a pitch at the end, right? How many of you seriously don't get that yet? So let's just be honest. Right? This is the new age of transparent marketing. You get on a webinar, you know someone's going to sell you something at the end. That's why I start my webinars nowadays and I say, I'm going to sell you something at the end. What's that? Yeah. Exactly. But it's such a simple thing. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. Right? So they already know that. But what you want is, at the end, you want them to say, hey, I know you got something, man. Get to the point. I'm ready. Give me what you got. So during the transition, we're going to set up the value of this product. So I just taught you this system. I just shared with you what it took me 12 years to learn and to put together. Now I got to tell you, I've been doing so well with it. You know, I've been doing well with it for so long. I just thought I had 2 options in my life. I could either choose A, to continue to do it myself and do very well, and love life and continue to build the life I wanted, or I choose 2, which is to go back, give back, help other people, and make one of my biggest missions and dreams come true, which is to reach out to people and show them how to do this. But I hit a problem. As I wanted to reach out to people, I realized, well, I'm going to have expenses. There are going to be things I have to do, things I have to pay for, money that will go out of my pocket in order to make this dream happen. Then I started to look at all the pieces I would have to put together to make this happen. You know, I realized there are 3 things you need if you want to succeed in this. You need this, and you need this. Do you guys see what I just did? I just went right into pitch. And that whole time you're thinking, dude, don't take option one, please, man. You got to help me out here. You know, don't go. You know I'm not going anywhere. You know I'm going to be, I wouldn't be talking to you if I still had something to pitch to you at the end. But I'm getting your permission. I'm making you take that journey with me where I created the product. Because once you take that journey with me, you don't want to. That's like climbing a mountain with a flag in your hand, getting to the top, and just going, I'm not going to plant this, and walking down. Who's going to do that? Nobody wants to do that. So the more you engage your viewers or your prospects into taking that journey with you through the process of creation, through the process of value, they just can't not buy at the end because it feels to them like they didn't plant the flag. They got to the end, they got to the top of the mountain, and just didn't plant the flag, which they had in their hand the whole time. Right? That's the feeling you want to create. Now, the other thing I see a lot, I see this all the time, especially on webinars, it drives me nuts. It comes back to that shameful embarrassment feeling of selling. So people have high energy during the presentation. They're excited, they're teaching, they're talking, they're training, they're giving their best stuff out. And then, so it's like high energy, and it comes to, all right, well, I want to tell you now about a product that I have that I really think you could be very, very helpful for you. I don't know, if you want it. I mean, let me just talk about it. I have 5 modules, 15 hours of video, and 32 pages of worksheets that you can go through. It's like, what the... A person can feel that. A person watching gets that you are not happy about selling them your product. If you're not happy about selling your product, why would I buy your product? You're not even happy about it. Go to a car dealer and see if that dealer says, yeah, I don't know, you take it for a drive, I guess. It's all right. It's a nice car. You should check out the Porsche down the road. No, they were not going to do that. And they get in front of you, dance around them. This is the best thing freaking ever made. This is the best car, right? So energy level has got to either stay at par or it's got to go up. Watch my presentations. My energy level goes up. Our team has a huge joke. I yell. I start yelling. I love it. I get excited because I love seeing those sales come in. Not because, I just made some money. That's nice too. But there's a point in your life where that doesn't make as much of an impact on you. It's the fact that somebody just did something. Oh my God, somebody took action. Oh my God, someone's actually listening to me. And that makes my energy levels go higher and higher and higher. So in your pitch, I'm going to go through this really quickly so that we can finish this session up, but the pitch follows a very specific model. And in that pitch, the first thing you want to do is break down what people need to succeed into very, very easy to digest chunks. All right, so this is where we get away from you need to watch 32 modules of videos. What are the 3 things you need to succeed? What are the 3 things that help me succeed? So in my example of my business, it's training, community, tools. Right? Keeping it simple. Someone listens to that and says, well, that makes sense. Training, community, tools. That's what I need. So, all right, what about it? Well, I went out, journeyed out, and figured it out for you. I got the training, I got the community, and I got the tools. Is that for me? Thank you, man. Yeah, I need it. So, what's really funny about a pitch is that every strong pitch spends the least amount of time on the main product. It's kind of crazy, but it's true. So what I do is training. Okay, here's how a traditional person would sell training. They'd say, my training is 10 modules, 5 modules, whatever, and you get to go through blah, 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 blah. Well, here's what I say. I break it down into 6 things that you get in the training. You get step-by-step videos. That is its own value attached to it. You get assignments that literally help you build your business as you go. That's its own value attached to it. You get weekly calls with our coaches. That's its own value. And I'm going to go through that slide in about a total of 1 minute. I don't need to get into what step-by-step videos means. You know what? Sometimes when we over-explain something, we outsell somebody. We just sell them right out of the product. We just oversold. People sometimes, that happens all the time. Happens to me all the time. I'm ready to buy something and someone just won't stop. And they end up saying one thing where I'm like, wait, what? And I fixate on that, right? And I get fixated on that one thing they said, and I end up not buying just because that one thing they said either I didn't agree with, didn't make sense to me. So the way I'll do a webinar, let's just talk about the webinar, and then there's a way to reverse analyze that for a written sales letter or a VSL. In a webinar, I'm going to spend about 5 minutes on the transition, max. That's if you're really good at doing transitions. I'm pretty good at it, so I spend more time on it. If you don't feel comfortable with it, if you're like, oh God, I have to go from content to pitch, it makes me uncomfortable, just jump in. The best transition you can do on a webinar is, all right, everybody, well, I've taken exactly what I shared with you and I've put it down into a great system. I want to tell you more about that. Introducing to you the Publish Academy program. And roll right into your pitch and just up your energy level. And that's fine. That's still going to do. It's better to do that than to do an extended transition that you mess up, where you get awkward and uncomfortable or you say something that people just don't want to be a part of. So I'm going to do a 5-minute transition, and then I'm going to do about a 10 to 15 minute until I do my first call to action. All right. During that first 10 to 15 minutes, I'm just going to go over the 3 things you need. I'm going to convince you. I'm going to make you agree with me that these are 3 things you need. So I will always justify every single part, just so you can never say, I don't need community. Because what happens with someone is the way to lose a sale is to have them not agree with you. So I'm going to say training. Well, of course you need training, right? When was the last time you got a job? Didn't you go through an orientation process? Didn't you go through training? When's the last time you needed to learn how to do this? Well, how many of you played sports in your life? When you were a kid, you had to learn how to, hold the football properly, or how to run with the ball, or how to pitch a baseball. So people start to think that, oh yeah, he's right. Oh, okay, I need training. Great. Okay, you need community. Oh, Anik, I don't really need community. Of course you do. Think about your life right now. Don't you have a family? Don't you make decisions with your loved ones? Don't you commune with people around you? Don't you call people to ask for their advice? I can tell you 99% of the people in this world would say, oh yeah, I do. Great. So what happens is you can't just say something to someone and expect that they'll believe you. You've got to make them believe you. You've got to let them participate in that process. The third is you need tools. Nah, I don't really need tools. Really? Do you have an iPhone? A smartphone, an Android? Do you have a calendar? Do you use a slow cooker at home? How do you not need tools? Don't you have a watch? How do you get through your life? You use tools, right? How do you play football? You need a football. People think that, I need tools. Of course. Great. So we 10 to 15 minutes, we talk about that, we build up the value, we add up the value of what they're getting, and we start to do the next part, which is price cut, right? Everybody knows price cuts, but they still work because people love to watch it. People just, it's so funny. This thing should be $10,000. You just know it's not going to be. Then I'm like, what about $8,000? And people start chat, more. And it makes me laugh because I'm like, they enjoy it. So I'm like, okay, how about 7,000? More, like 6,000, 5,000. Huh? You like to guess, right? See? People make a game out of it. But what's happening, guys, is you're laughing, but I'm creating excitement. You might be laughing and making a joke out of it, but you're having fun. And so what I'm doing is I'm removing fear. By getting you to engage and have fun with that price cut, I'm removing the fear of where it lands. I'm giving you more time to have fun, less time to fear the price. Then we do the price. And typically, depending on how long my overall presentation was, I will give the opportunity to purchase at that moment. It's a dummy opportunity. Ain't nobody gonna buy. You get like 3 sales. Okay, it's just there for there are always that little class of people that are just like, man, I gotta go, like I gotta run, I wanna buy. Just give it to them real quick. But then you say, and then there's more. So if I spend 10 to 15 minutes talking about the main product, you know how much time I spend talking about the bonuses? 30 minutes. I can never explain it, but the bonuses are what sell. People love the bonuses. So sometimes we'll take the sexiest part of the main offer, pull it out, and put it in as a bonus just because it gets more attention in that area. Right? So we'll spend more time on that bonus, And then I will do what I call my closing pitch. That's where we create excitement. We create scarcity, which is a big part of a pitch. We create a reason to take action now. That's the only thing you're battling at that time. If somebody is still watching, there's two things you're battling. If someone is still watching you when you have genuinely been 30 minutes into your pitch, 20 minutes into your pitch, 10 minutes into your pitch, they want to buy. That's a de facto rule. They want what you have. That's not what you're arguing against. And a lot of people who sell, they don't actually understand how to recognize the place and the position in which their consumer is in. They're sold on the product. Stop. They don't need to be sold on the product anymore. There's only two things going on at that time that are being debated in their minds. One, can I afford this? The price. Two, do I do it now or do I do it later? I want it. I'm definitely going to do it. Do I do it now or do I do it later? How do you convince them that they have to do it now? Scarcity, right? And then the price, whether they can afford it. Well, the best way to do that is to show them fear. What's the price of not doing it? Okay, you can't afford the diffuser right now. Great. Well, how many years of bad health can you afford? What do you spend right now at doctors? What do you spend on special food and prescription medicine? And then you put that in perspective and they think, I'm going to get this. So in every business, investment mentality is how you sell someone something. No one wants to add an expense to their life. Everything has an investment value, down right to the pen you buy. You buy a pen for $1 because it carries an investment value of more than $1 to you. That's it. It's pure and simple as that. Someone buys a Ferrari, they could have just as easily bought a Toyota Corolla. It's still going to take them from point A to point B. They bought that Ferrari because somewhere there is an investment value, even if that investment value is nothing beyond a smile on their face, but that smile carries that much weight that it's worth it to them. So what's the return on your product? Doesn't have to be financial. If you're selling a nutritional product, the return is good health. What does that mean to them? Good health is too general. What does good health mean? Me being someone who's actually lived this, who's had very bad health and who now has good health, well, I can tell someone what good health means. Good health means waking up at 8 a.m. without a foggy mind. Good health means going until 12 a.m. keeping strong. Good health means being able to eat an entire plate of food and enjoy every minute of that. Good health means being able to finally say yes to your friends when they want to go out, because you can go out. Does that make sense? Now tell me how much your product is. And tell me if what I just said, I just hit so many emotional triggers on you. The price is insignificant, doesn't matter. What do I spend on my health, every year on the meds I'm in? My insurance company spends $155,000 a year on my health care. So where are you going to sell me a product that's health related that's going to cost me more than that? So start to think in the minds of what is the investment, what's a return on the investment in my product? And talk about the return. And that'll literally annihilate the price debate for a lot of people. And the scarcity, will essentially tell them why they better do it now instead of doing it later. And after that, guys, it's a lot of times you still won't sell them. They just don't buy, but man, are they thinking about it. So the big thing that happens, and we've noticed, is you can't quit that easily. And that's why we create follow-up series. That's why I do multiple webinars in my launch. We really give multiple touch points with the consumer, and that's what you'll do. I don't care if you're selling a nutritional product or if you're selling a digital product. You will continue to interact for days to come with those who do not purchase your product. And you will catch a lot of them who will come back into the process. All right, so that is copywriting. Those are the processes. Now, you could be doing written, you could be doing... Did that lead to any bells ringing in your head? Was that useful, helpful? Yes? Okay.
Thanks for listening to The Fighting Entrepreneur with your host, Anik Singal.